Welcome to Mark Reviews and the first of what I believe will be the most important series of videos that I have ever created. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. I have other great topics planned for this series, including how to prepare and present a great resume, how to find and apply for better jobs, and then interview skills to help you get that job. If you're watching this right now, it's because you clicked on a video called Finding Purpose in Your Life, and a part of you is probably wondering what I have to offer or what makes me qualified to help you find purpose in your life. I have more than 2 decades of professional work experience, including having changed careers several times. So a brief background on my job history will help you understand where I'm coming from when I have this conversation with you. Going all the way back into my teenage years, I was a volunteer at a hospital working in their transport department. I worked as a lifeguard and a swimming lesson instructor. I worked in my university's library in college, and then later in a convenience store scooping ice cream and checking out people's groceries. Then I decided to major in broadcast journalism in college, and I worked a series of jobs both as a student and then later as a working professional doing broadcast journalism related activities like TV and radio. Fast forward a couple of years and I actually switched my profession completely when I moved over into finance, and I essentially had to start my career over as an entry-level employee. For the next 8.5 years, I worked at a large investment company, and during that time I had 11 different positions at that company. Most of those were promotions or at least lateral moves to pick up new skill sets. It was during this time that I moved into management and people leadership and training and onboarding and coaching, and that's really what started this love of helping other people acquire the skills and the tools that they need to help them be successful in the future. And finally, about a year ago, I took that same passion for helping people, and I now work as a trainer at a new company that's in the SaaS technology sector. So I've had a long career that has gone from broadcast journalism to finance to now technology sales. And through all of that, this unifying theme is really taking something complex and helping people understand it in an easy way, giving them the tools that they need to make better decisions and help set themselves up for success in the long term. But enough about me. This is not designed to be an autobiographical video. In fact, the rest of the focus of this video will be on you and what will benefit you moving forward. So I want you to think about this conversation through this camera and through your screen, wherever you're watching this, as a one-on-one coaching conversation across a desk from each other, or maybe over Zoom because we're using video. Let's start this conversation by taking you through a bit of a thought exercise. One of the things we don't take enough time to do these days is sort of stop, step back, and assess how our life is going, what things are working, what things we wish were better, and then take steps to make positive changes that will help us get there. So I want you to think about your current job or your current role, whatever responsibilities you currently have that occupy your waking hours. And I want you to think about how you feel about where you are in life. Are you totally satisfied? Do you find fulfillment in your work? Do you look forward to getting out of bed every day and going into the office or logging into Zoom if you're working from home? If so, that's great, and you probably don't need the rest of this video, but someone in your life does, so please think of who you could share this with. For the rest of you, and that's probably the vast majority of you based on my past experience, that activity probably brought up some uncomfortable feelings and some things that you've maybe been pushing away or suppressing so that you can make it through your day-to-day. But I want you to dwell just for a second in that discomfort. I want you to think about the things that drive you crazy about your current job, your current role, your current responsibilities. What are the things that you hate about what you do? And what are the things that you love? I think if nothing else, the best career advice that I can give anyone is find something that allows you to do more of the things that you love and requires you to do fewer of the things that you hate. It could be that that exists at your current company, maybe in the next role or another department, but it could also be that you need to start looking externally for the next step in your career. Now, when we're talking big, potentially life-altering decisions like this, it's important to do it deliberately, to really have a process in place to help you make these decisions instead of just doing it based solely on emotion. And because changes like this are scary and require effort, a lot of us will default to the position of, I'll just figure out how to cope with the stress and the depression and the frustration of this current job, because I only have like another 30 years until retirement. But it doesn't have to be that way. There are better things out there. And I want to highlight a quote from one of my favorite thought leaders these days. His name is Simon Sinek, and he says, "I'd rather feel uncomfortable pushing for better than feel uncomfortable settling for less. Hashtag choose your discomfort." Notice that both options feature discomfort, right? And he's just saying, choose your discomfort. Do you want to be uncomfortable settling for less, or maybe what you currently have, or do you want to be uncomfortable pushing for something better? So this video is to help you catch the vision that there are better things available, there are better options, and how you choose them should be a deliberate process. Okay, and that's the end of that first part of this video, which is really just designed to open your mind and get you thinking about your current state. And now we're going to focus on things that you are looking for in your future state. And this part of the activity will be based on these leadership values cards by John C. Maxwell. And I will leave a link in the description below to where you can find out more about this. This is something that was introduced to me by a leader and mentor that I had in the past. And it's something I have used over and over to help coach people and help them make important decisions in their lives. Now, before we dive into the final part of the activity, and I actually have you write some things down and do a little bit of homework, I want to set the stage for what we're about to do. My experience leading, managing, coaching nearly 200 individuals over time has shown me that anytime that we're feeling discontent in our work or in our life, it's typically because there's a misalignment of our goals and priorities, the things that matter most to us, and the things that we're being asked to do in our daily life. So this next activity is designed to help you identify what things matter most to you and what things maybe don't matter as much. This is a judgment-free zone. We're all going to value different things, but without further ado, go ahead and pause this video if you need to, but grab a pen or a piece of paper or get ready to take notes if you're on a computer or on your phone or something. I want you to really take this seriously and write some things down. I'm going to include on this screen a list of all of the values that are included in this activity in alphabetical order. This is a judgment-free zone. I want you to go through this list, pause the video if you need to, and identify 8 values that matter the most to you. That's not to say that these other things don't matter, they just don't matter as much as your top 8. Don't worry about sorting or prioritizing one over the other. Just identify 8 specific values or priorities that matter the most to you as an individual. Now I'll stop talking for a second and give you a moment to do that. Okay, now that you've identified the top 8 values or priorities for you as an individual, I want you to pause the video again and take a moment to narrow that list down to just 5. Truth be told, a lot of people find this part of the activity harder than the first part because now you're being asked to make hard decisions about what you truly value and what truly matters to you. And you're having to eliminate 3 of these other things that are important to you. They're just not as important. Again, don't worry about ranking them in any specific order. We're just looking for you to narrow this down to a list of 5. I'll stop talking again for a few seconds to give you time to do that. Feel free to pause the video if you need additional time. Now you have a list of your top 5 values, and I want you to take a moment to look at this list and think about deliberately why you chose these over some of the others and why these matter so much to you. If you took this activity seriously and you did this correctly, these 5 values are really the core elements of who you are as a person. And this is the fun part where we get to dig in and apply this to your life. Now that you've identified your top 5 values, you have a framework around which you can build a decision-making process, whether it's about your career or your personal life, your hobbies. Whatever matters most to you should inform the decisions you make about the things that you're doing on a daily basis. Going back to what I said just a minute ago, anytime I coach someone and I find discontent, frustration, discouragement, setbacks, it's typically because there's a misalignment between these top 5 values that we just identified and the things that they're being asked to do in their daily life. I want to illustrate this concept with a quick example, and again, this is a judgment-free zone, but let's say that one of your top 5 values you identified is family. If your job requires you to put in so much time and effort and energy at your job that you don't have time for your family, you don't have the energy to be fully present, you're missing key family activities, you're not spending time with your children, then there's a misalignment here. Your job is requiring you to do things that are keeping you away from something that you just listed as one of your top 5 values. And that can be extremely discouraging. So if you're in a situation like that, that's probably the source of a lot of your discontent with your current job. Now, as you look at your personal list of your top 5 values, I want to explore this concept a little bit. So think through your values in the context of your life, and I'll share some additional examples that will help you understand how to view your own top 5. I have worked with people who had always believed that one of their top values was money, wealth, getting promotions, better salaries. And when they go through this activity, they realize that wealth didn't make it into their top 5 and maybe not even into their top 8. But if all of their career goals, their career paths, their decisions about promotions and new companies to work for are based on wealth, they may be missing the mark on something that they value more, like family. I remember one coaching conversation in particular where I took someone through this exact activity, and they found that while they had always believed that they valued money and wealth and promotions and better salaries over a lot of other things in their life, it didn't even make the top 5. And family of those top 5 was the most important thing to them. They had an epiphany in that moment that while they weren't entirely satisfied with the pay they were receiving for the work they were doing, their job did enable them to have fantastic work-life balance. They were able to attend important events for their children. They were able to be there for dinner every night, and they never had to work on the weekends or after hours. In their case, they decided to stick it out in that job because the thing that mattered most to them in that moment was their family, and their job was aligned with that. They found alignment in their daily work and what they valued most. There's one final takeaway from that coaching conversation and from this activity in general, and that is that this is a snapshot in time. These values may shift and change a bit over time. Something may fall out of your top 5 and something else may come into it. I encourage you to return to this activity anytime you're contemplating a big life decision. There will almost always be one of 2 outcomes when you do this activity. One will be reaffirming. You'll help yourself realize that what you have is aligned with what values most to you, and if there's something that's frustrating you, but it doesn't fall into your top 5, you can probably deal with it because, guess what? You're hitting on your top 5, or at least your top 4. And 2, this activity can be the catalyst to helping you make important decisions that will set yourself up for success in the future. What I mean is, if you find yourself in a job or a role that requires you to do a lot of things that are not aligned with your top 5 priorities, you feel this separation, you feel that discontent, you feel uncomfortable, to borrow Simon Sinek's word. It's better to be uncomfortable pushing for better than uncomfortable settling for less. And that nicely sets up the other videos that I'll have in this series. If going through this activity helped you realize that you need to make a change in your life, look forward to future videos on refreshing or preparing a resume for the first time, finding and applying for good jobs, and then interview skills that will help you to get those jobs. I am a firm believer, having done coaching for hundreds of people across multiple industries and 2 decades of professional work, that our job, or whatever we've decided to dedicate our daily life to, all of our waking hours, our time, energy, focus, attention, those things have a greater bearing on our lives than pretty much anything else. So you want to be very careful and deliberate about how you're spending your time, because there's absolutely bleed over into your life with your family, your friends, your hobbies, what you do on the weekends. All of those things are impacted by the way that you choose to spend your time for 40 plus hours a week. There are few things in life that have a greater overall impact on your physical and mental health than what you choose to do 40 plus hours a week. And hopefully this activity has helped you identify the top 5 things that you value and start thinking deliberately about how your daily life is aligned with those values. You may have found as a result of this conversation that you're not in alignment, or you're not in perfect alignment. And that's okay. That should be the catalyst to help you get there. So be sure to subscribe to this channel and watch for these future videos that I plan to release that will take you through the next few steps and help you get closer to those goals. Also, click that bell to be notified when I post them, and that way you won't miss them when they come out. Thank you, if you have watched to this point, for participating in this conversation. I know technically it's one-sided, but I really feel connected to people when I have these conversations. If this benefited you, please share it with others who you think could benefit. If you feel like you're in a good state, I would love to hear about it. Leave a comment below this video. Tell me what dream job you found, and maybe we can send some other people your way. I want this community to find greater purpose in their life and find greater satisfaction in their life, because we all have to be here, and you could be working on an assembly line and hating life, or you could be doing your dream job. So take the steps necessary to get you there, and I'm happy to be a part of that journey. Please reach out, leave your comments in the section below this video. I'd be happy to help you, and good luck with the job search. Where you are right now doesn't have to be the end. We're all somewhere on this journey, so keep pushing for something better, even if it's uncomfortable along the way. Good luck, and thank you for watching Mark Reviews.